I thought I'd get started on kind of piecing this together, and it's a good thing that the counter shaft is shaped that way because it's so very tight. So part of the issue in figuring this all out is you kind of need to bolt it to figure it out. I don't really know where it needs to be bolted, so that complicates things a bit. But you basically need to be able to kick this in and out. So that placement is fine. And the adjustment we need to make sure we get right is this one. And this piece all needs cleaned. It's all pretty nasty. But I think if we slide it just a little bit that way, we'll be pretty much ready to bolt it down. And then once we get it bolted down, we can figure out a belt length that works. I'm going to put it as close to this 1-inch piece as we can. I know that when you lift this up, it'll clear right there. So we can come in just a little bit more right here. I had to leave it this way so the magnet would kind of hold it back there. But yeah, we can come towards the lathe a little bit. So that's kind of where we're at with that. It is a tight fit. But I think it's going to work because you're about 15 inches from the pulleys here. And then as you go up, it becomes 13 inches. So we should be able to keep the belt on all the time. And I did buy one of these guys just to kind of get things going. If I decide to fuse a belt on here, we can do that. I don't want to take the headstock completely apart. It's like a day job to do that, so I prefer to not do that if we can help it. So I shall continue on tweaking, fitting, taking it off, putting it back on, bolting it down finally, and then we'll figure out a belt size. And then we got to figure out if we can put this sucker up with the belt still on. So first things first, got to get the lathe bolted down where it kind of goes. And finish it out with this one. And you do the thing on the back the same way. Make sure those line up. Should be good there. Yep. Alright, get these other two drilled and get this thing bolted down. So I just measured out a piece of package, like ribbon, to run through the pulleys so that I cut this at 35 so that when we run it through we can make sure they're aligned correctly. So I think I've got that about where it needs to be. I'm basically just trying to make sure that this way we're good, and it's pretty straight. Oops, I'm on this one. Not straight on that one. See why I'm using this instead of that belt that I bought? It's hard enough with ribbon. Yeah, I think that's gonna be good enough. So I will punch a point where we're going to drill. I'm going to drill 2 opposed holes in the table. Let me show you. So I'll drill one down here and one back here. And then once we get those where we'll have some adjustment, you can see they're cut as an oval. Then we'll put these other 2 in, and then we'll attach the motor. The big thing was I had to stay inside where this folds up, and we're gonna just barely clear. The motor is not where it needs to go. It goes in a little further because these 2 pulleys have to line up. So it needs to go in just a little bit, but I have it currently bracing where this needs to be, so I can't quite put it where it needs to go. And we are extended all the way out, so the shaft should be engaged where it's sitting right now. So it'll drop forward. So I'm going to drill those bolt holes there. We'll put a couple bolts in it, and fingers crossed that it's right, because I really don't want to weld those back up if it's wrong. So we'll get that straight, get that kind of attached, and then get the motor figured out. This motor has never been wired, or at least if it was, they put the plate back over it. And it's down on this other side over here. So there's never been anything that doesn't look like it's even ever been used. So I'll have to wire that before we can put it into operation. But let's see if we can't get this thing attached. Well, it absolutely could not be any tighter. I've got 2 holes drilled. I don't have that one sitting in there right now. I'm going to drill the other 2 holes, but this is as far, what do I want to say, as far forward as I can go and not hit when it's on lift, and as far back as I can go and not hit when the belt is on. Let's see if I can do this one-handed with this short little piece. It's a struggle. Alright, so when that's tight, there's our clearance. Clearance. So that is fully engaged, and then when you drop it down, so when we go to lift this back up, we'll drop all that down and loosen everything. So yeah, that's a little on the tight side, and I'm actually going to have to notch the bottom of this shelf. It just barely hits, and I don't want it to hit every time it comes up and down, so I'll just take a grinder, take a pen, mark where it needs to be ground down. We'll just take out a 1/8 of an inch or so out of that thick wall. It's a good thing it's thick wall. So little design flaw there, but I think it'll be okay. If it's not, my plan will be I'll take these little oval cutouts and we'll kind of file those down so that we can move this forward a little bit. Yeah, that is close. That's closer than I had thought it was going to be. And yeah, when this goes up, I'll set a tripod right here when I push it up against the wall before I shut things down for the day. But it is it couldn't be any closer. So I'll set the tripod up here. We'll push it up, and I'll show you how close it is. Hopefully you'll be able to see from right there. Thankfully I put those shocks, or those struts on there, because I've had this thing up and down so many times. I'll just try to go slow here so you can see it. See what I mean? I think it's gonna look okay though. You know, get that all positioned in there. And then I thought about building some, you know how those drill bit holders, the little case, and you stick all the drill bits in. I thought about building those along the wall there, and then just sticking my end mills down in there, so it would have a bottom on it. Well, I say I thought about it. I thought about programming the the arc droid to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not that accurate. So, yeah, wish it wasn't as tight as it is here. But what can you do? This is the space I have to work in, so we're definitely going to have to try to pull it down here without bumping you. Definitely going to have to come up with a solution for that. Let's see if I can pull it far enough where I can't get my arm up there. Let me switch hands here. Right there. Just hits right there. Just right there. Just barely. Son of a biscuit. You know, it's killing me. And I questioned it. This is exactly 1/8 of an inch. And I should have probably dropped this down, you know, notched, and we still could notch this out, put a plate across, weld it on the inside, and do it that way. And we still could do that. Might be a better solution. I actually have the plate already cut. I cut it out a 1/4 inch the other day when we were cutting. So we might just do that. Might just trace around where this is so that we can drop that down. Then we don't have to do any cutting or anything. Might be a better plan. And then we'll have to figure out where this motor comes down and go ahead and drill the hole for that. Yeah, I'm leaning towards that because that'd give us a 1/4 inch, or not a 1/4 inch, an 1/8 inch. That's all we need. Decision made. Let's do it. Thanks for your help. So the only real design kind of sketchy thing I had to get around when I was coming up with this was a way to make it where the belt could go up with the machine. Because the way this countershaft is made, I'm losing like 4 inches each time I put it into shelf mode. So when I go to pivot this table up, I'm going to lose that space because as I pivot it up, it's going to hit right there. And I just don't have enough length to make it work where I can do it that way. So I was hopeful we would be able to space this to where we could just leave that belt on all the time. However, that is appearing to not be the case. So I'm going to try to lift this thing up, and I'm 100% certain it is going to hit, just based on how much distance I know we have. Because as this, we'll be okay till we get about right here, and then as we go back, it's going to have more belt to go back. So I just don't think we have enough. So that's going to be kind of the one thing that's a pain about this, is I have to take that belt off each time. Not out of the lathe machine, so I'll just probably just take it apart right here where it's easy to get to, and then put the machine up. But yeah, that's going to be a pain. And then I got to come up with a different, because that is engaged. This is back all the way. This handle's just a little bit too long. So that's against the wall. That's engaged, but that's gonna rattle. If I bring it back a little bit, it might be okay. But I can't leave it on because when it is disengaged, it only goes this far. And it is going to hit when this table goes up. So, works okay this way. Like, we could probably get by with that. But when you go to drop it down, that's as far as it goes. Excuse me. I don't think we can lift up on it enough to get it down. No. So that is too long. So I'm going to have a different knob on that, or take this off each time. I'm not sure I want to do that. If I had a little short guy on there, I think we would be fine. You know, one that was only about that long. It's when I go to put the table up, if this is hanging out there, it's going to hit the back of the table. So there's that. There's a few little things, or I could just make sure I take it off each time and lay it right there too. We'll just have to see. There's a few things that aren't ideal on the setup, but for my small shop, it's going to be what we use. So let me lift this up. I know it's going to hit, but it puts you in a tripod and we'll try it. Trying to find the best space for you, but yep, I think we're going to get not even halfway probably before we realize, oh, that ain't going to work. And we got further than halfway. Are we going to be able to make it? What if I take that off of the... What if I take it off the pulleys and just let it free float? That gives me a little more. Oh, that's close. It's catching right there. I don't think we can gain... I don't think we can gain enough to do it. It's so close. Can you see that in camera? No, you can't. It is so close to going up. I gotta think on that a minute. Can we go... If we move this guy over all the way and move that over here, be awesome if we could leave this on here. Then I get that moved over and I'll bring you back. Just move that to the point where there is no pulley at all. It's just a shaft. And then this is just on the smallest one on the lathe. It is so close, it's not even funny. I don't think we can do it though. Even if we take out all the slack here. Just a wee bit of a design flaw on that guy. Yeah, not gonna happen. No big deal. Just take it apart each time. Yeah, so we'll just have to take that apart each time, and that's gonna be kind of a royal pain. But thankfully, they make these belts now, so this one won't last as long, taking it apart all the time. But I'll tell you what I'm probably gonna do is just mark, you know, with the Sharpie, okay, these are the two we took out the last time, and when we get kind of all the way around the belt, I'll probably have to replace it. I don't know, it might survive a couple times going around. I don't know, I've not used this brand of these before. I had a piece of equipment that had a green one on it. Probably Harbor Freight. I think Harbor Freight sells the green ones. But I had never used them where I had purchased them specifically for a project. So this is kind of our first attempt at it. But without being able to do that, this whole build is not even close to possible. So at least we have that as an option. So taking those guys apart is pretty easy. Just take a pair of needle nose pliers. I don't know where my good needle nose are, but just kind of twist that and just kind of pop it into that little oval. And then it just pulls apart. So the taking it apart is pretty easy. And then putting it back together is not that much harder. So that's what we're going to have to do each time. And yes, that's a royal pain. But it allows me to have a lathe in my shop. We want to leave it. If we left it on the lower, let's do that. And we don't have to worry about it clearing that back. Yeah, I don't like that I have to do that, but that's what we'll do. Well, I did decide to go ahead and notch that out, and I cut the notch a little bit on the big side so that we had a little bit of movement. We could move around on the counter shaft so I could get it kind of buttoned up exactly where it needed to go. And then I just put a plate from the front of my frame of my shelf to the back. And one side of the motor is mounted through the frame, and then the other side's just through the countertop. And it has worked perfect, so I've had no issue with it. I don't have a real kill switch on here yet, so I haven't done a whole lot of running anything on it just because of that. I want to have a safety kill here. And then the motor will be wired forward and reverse with an off in the middle on just like a little toggle switch. I would like to put it here. The issue is that this obviously moves, so I have to have a way to quick connect or disconnect those in some manner. I'll figure all of that out, but as for right now, It works perfect. It works way better than I ever anticipated. And I'm really happy with how it has turned out. I did go ahead and add this little vintage articulating lamp, thanks to a friend of mine who bequeathed it to me, but it looks pretty good with the setup. So thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully we get to put this thing into operation pretty soon. I have a machinist friend that is going to come over and kind of help me with the setup and tell me what stupid things to not do. Don't be dumb. And hopefully we'll be sharing some of that with you. So thanks for being here, and hopefully we can do some really fun little projects with this guy. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for watching. Peace.